Recovery on Air, the official podcast of Crossroads Addiction Rehabilitation. Candid discussion about addiction and recovery with the people who have lived it, along with input from experts on the journey from struggle to triumph. Laugh, cry, and be inspired. And now, your host for Recovery on Air, Christin Day.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to another episode of Recovery on Air, where we talk about the good, the bad, the miracles. Today's guest, I have my friend Kimberly on, and Kimberly, for everybody that doesn't know, Kimberly is like works 365 days a year, 7 days a week, and is on call 24/7. So she is busier than I am, and So when my guest that I had coming on ended up canceling, they had a family emergency, and I was like, hey, Kim, I'm going to steal you from the office, and you're going to come tell your story, because, yeah. Oh, yay. Yay. It's going to be so much fun. So how long have you been with Crossroads?
I have been with Crossroads now for a little over 7 years.
That's freaking wild.
Yep.
Wow.
Had quite the journey there.
Yeah.
My sobriety date is 9/17/18, so a little bit over 7 years sober.
Look at
clean.
You go.
Yeah.
So what was childhood like?
Childhood was rough for me. The first man that ever broke my heart was my dad, right? And then the man that stepped in that was supposed to fill that void also broke my heart. Both addicts, right? So ironically, I despised crystal meth growing up, and I ended up being addicted to it.
I was going to say, that was our love-hate relationship.
Absolutely. Childhood was filled with a lot of trauma. And not that my mom's an addict. She's a normie. She just had to provide for us, so she was just absent. Worked 2 and 3 jobs my whole life to keep a roof over our head. Yep.
Just like you.
Yep. So not a lot of supervision. I was a good kid up until I was a teenager and I met a boy.
Okay.
So it was that daddy issue.
Yeah. Try to fill that void.
Yep.
So you meet the guy and you start getting into drugs?
It actually took him, and I'll never forget it, exactly 9 months to talk me into using methamphetamine for the first time. And then kid number 1 came shortly after that.
Gotcha.
Then 2, then 3, and
you
just
pop back to back to back?
Yep. Yeah, my kids are 17, 18, 19 now. And as our relationship progressed, the abuse did too.
Absolutely.
Went from like verbal, emotional into physical, and all the things. Ended up leaving him in 2009. That was my first attempt at trying to get sober, which really wasn't an honest attempt, because whereas I might not have been using methamphetamine, but I was definitely snorting Ativans off the back of the toilet while my toddlers were in the other room screaming and crying. So, but in my mind, I was sober, right?
Right. It's not my drug of choice.
Right.
So did you start having consequences? Like, when did that all start playing
I really didn't have consequences until my addiction took me into dedicating my life to the streets.
Gotcha.
My kids became a certain age, and at the time they were 9, 8, and 7, when I was trying to play that mommy role during the day, getting high at night, using while I'm at work, trying to stay functional until I couldn't do it anymore. And I left them. I abandoned my children, chose a dope sack and a man over my kids.
Me too, girl.
And the inevitable happened.
Yeah.
Their dad at the time came in. We had been separated for quite a while. Was awarded custody. My kids were shipped out of state, and then I didn't have a single reason in the world to get sober at that point. I lost everything.
And you were just living on the streets?
Yep. I was hotel hopping, selling dope, shooting up every chance I could get.
Absolutely.
I tried to go to treatment a couple of times. I think the first time I attempted residential treatment was in 2017, which would have been the same year that I lost physical custody of my kids.
So rights were severed and everything?
No, rights were not severed. It's just at the time our divorce decree, I had sole custody. He had supervised visitation. So in a court hearing where they were supposed to consider placing them with their dad, they rewrote my divorce decree, handed them to him, shipped him out of state, and DCS washed their hands of me. Never once was I ever given like a paper of resources. Hey, try this, do that, let me help you. Nothing. It was like my DCS case was open and shut within 4 months.
That's crazy.
And I think that really why it happened was because him living out of state put my kids out of our jurisdiction here, so it was just easier
just
for the
didn't
courts
wanna
to say,
fuck with it.
see you bye. So a lot of trauma and a little bit of resentment towards DCS, right?
Absolutely.
Not like that it wasn't my fault, but,
Right.
you know.
We have our own faults and got to take part in that. But I feel I did the same thing. I chose men and I chose drugs over my kids. And I can hold my head high and talk about it today without like, beating myself up anymore because I've worked through it.
Yeah.
And I love that you're vulnerable about it and you can say it because
Absolutely.
there's
Gives me
so-
goosebumps.
it-
but,
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you you try to get sober in 2017. And what is that looking like?
That was the first time I stuck a needle in my arm in rehab 5 days before graduation. It was a Mother's Day, my first Mother's Day without my kids.
Yeah.
So I went off to the races, harder than I ever had before.
Right.
A couple months later, tried to get sober again, went back to the same treatment facility knowing what I could get away with.
Right.
Took dope in with me, all the things. I mean, I was a mess.
Yeah.
Was picking up dirty chips while I was there, providing,
Hell
fake
yeah.
UAs, all the things, making it look good because DCS told me I had to be there. It was kind of
You were doing it to appease everybody else.
Yep, wasn't for me, and that's why it didn't work. I never, for the first 10 times trying to get sober, I could not get past 54 days to save my life.
Wow.
Yeah, it was nuts. And then it was kind of ironic. The second time I went to treatment, I went out on a sick one, but my stints in the streets got shorter and shorter. I got sick and tired quicker and quicker. And the last time I went to treatment, I ended up at Crossroads, which was the one treatment facility I absolutely refused to go to the first couple of times because it was 90 days. That's a long time to be gone.
Long time for sure.
Yeah.
You went to Flower, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah.
I graduated from Flower. Yep.
Gotcha.
Did
And what
90
did that look like?
I remember walking in that place I don't want to know anybody. I don't need any friends. Nope, don't talk to me.
Fuck
I'm just
these
here
bitches.
to you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Fuck everything. I'm not taking any of this with me when I leave. Didn't believe in God at the moment.
Were you on probation at the time?
I was not.
Okay.
I went on my own accord, but I did pick up some cases my last 60 days in the streets
Gotcha.
that hit me after I went to rehab. So I ended up having to go to court for that. Then I was court ordered to stay there. And then I was like, oh, wow, I'm in big trouble.
Yeah.
I did end up on drug court shortly after that standard probation. And I was one of those people that had to turn myself into MCSO and sit down and do 6 months in a stray at 9 months sober. Wow. And if that doesn't steer you the right way,
you didn't even get to go to prison?
Nope, didn't get to go to
God.
prison. County was enough for me. Jail is not for some people. I'm some of those people.
Listen, I can't wait to take you back in there because,
Man.
woo, it is.
And it was really that experience for me in MCSO for 6 months, I think was my game changer.
Yeah.
Those using dreams that we have and those cravings and just the ridiculous thought process of I got to get back out there. I got to go do this or I want to do that or this is so much easier was just not an option anymore. Right. I rarely have using dreams today. And when I do, I'm like, okay, God's trying to tell me something. Yeah. But it doesn't really happen. I have no cravings, no desire to use. I'm good.
Yeah.
Did
you do your steps and everything? What?
I did. I've worked my steps several times over, different ones too. I did AA, CMA, NA, CODA, all the things, and I always focused on something different. I had 2 sponsors for a long time. Mm-hmm. When I went to treatment, I had a male sponsor, and they laughed at me oh, yeah, okay. And they made me get a female.
Is it just because you clicked with them better and felt more comfortable?
So this particular gentleman that was taking me through my NA steps, I had kind of built a relationship within the rooms who saw me through several relapses, was there when my kids were taken, all the things. I just felt like he kind of knew me a little bit more than some stranger. Also, I've always historically had more male friends than females. Like,
Me
I don't
too.
like females. I never have. I have a very small group of female
get it.
friends. So yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
So, you have to go to treatment. So you're 9 months sober, and you have to go to jail.
Yeah.
Like, what does that look like?
Oh, so much anxiety and really just a mind fuck. Like, I can't believe, like, so my life, I was the honor student in school, you know, I played basketball. I did my chores. Like, my mom didn't have to breathe down my neck for me to be a good kid. And just ending up in a place like stuff that you see in movies, right? Like,
for sure.
It was really an eye-opener for me. Like, the whole time I was on probation, like, I will never forget. And one day I want to go back and shake his hand. Judge Sayers is who sentenced me with Maricopa County Superior Court. He told me in my sentencing, and I'll never forget it, it changed my life. He said, you know, sometimes people wake up on the wrong side of the bed and you just make mistakes, bad choices. He said, you, my friend, you have zero room for error while you're on probation. He's like, I just want to kind of paint a picture for you. You have 16 years hanging over your head with all the charges that you came into my courtroom with. And if I see one violation out of you, I can promise you, right hand to God, I'm sending you to DOC.
Wow.
And we're going to start at 16 years, and whatever else you come in with on that new case, we're going to stack on top of that. And it will run consecutive, not concurrent. And I was like, oh, changed my life, right?
Yeah.
I was a model probation client. Probation for me was an extra layer of accountability. I felt like there were more eyes on me. A lot of people think that probation are people that are like against you and, oh, they're out to get me. I used it as a resource.
Now. Right.
You know?
And I wish more people had that mentality for it, because probation and parole are way different than what they used to be.
Yeah.
They don't want to send you back. Like, I do parole orientation every Thursday, and I go in there as a resource.
Yeah.
They don't want to send you back to fucking prison or jail.
Yeah.
They don't want to violate you. It's too much paperwork for them to do.
Yep.
Like, come on, dude.
Yeah.
So, utilizing those resources that are available to you. And I feel like if you're failing, it's your fault because you're not doing the shit that you need to. There should be no reason.
Yeah.
So you get off probation, or you're how long are you on probation
So
for?
I was sentenced to 2 years of probation. Originally started out on drug court. Now I've heard from a lot of probation officers, specifically in the drug court division, the soonest that clients usually can get off of drug court with absolute perfect behavior is 14 months. I was on for 2 months. They dropped me down to standard.
Jesus.
I was like a year sober. I did all the classes, all the things, never missed a UA, never missed a check-in, never missed a court date for drug court, and they dropped me down to standard probation. And sometimes I went 2 and 3 months. My PO would text me like, hey, you good? Cool. Talk to me in, 2 months. Like, they didn't have to worry about me at that point. Wow. The only thing that I did do with my probation officer, which I was nervous to ask, was in 2020. My kid's dad passed away. They were out of state. He succumbed to his addiction to alcohol at the time. And I had to go pick my kids up.
Wow.
And I had to get a one-way ticket out of Arizona with no idea what that was going to look like when I was coming back, whatever. So I had to have an emergency travel permit. But outside of that, probation didn't really mess
So
with
where
me.
were they at?
They were in Kentucky, where he lived with his wife and their other 3 children.
Can we talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely.
Like, what happened?
So when he gained custody of them, it's actually kind of ironic.
Really quick, he was not really in their life the whole time?
So
or like,
he was, but more like phone calls.
Gotcha.
He would come and get them in the summertime, sometimes take them for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
But the only way that I would let him do that is because he lived with his parents and their aunts and uncles. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there was more family there. So I tried to support that as much as I could. But he was never that like nurturing. Never gave him a bath, never changed a diaper, never fed him a meal, that kind of nurturing father. Sure. But he wasn't bad to my kids. He was wrapped up in his addiction. And he's one of those people, when he uses methamphetamine, like he's stuck in a room for 18 hours and there's no getting him out of there, I was more functional.
I'm like coloring.
Right? So he got custody of them in 2017. Paid for his own hair follicle test to prove that he wasn't on drugs. Stood in a courtroom and told the judge that I was actually on drugs when he met me. And I got him started on meth, which was a bull-faced lie. It was quite the opposite.
Yeah.
Never touched drugs outside of like alcohol and
Right.
whatever as a teenager. But
sure.
so they handed him custody, and a couple of months leading up to his passing, which he passed May 14th of 2020. Now, at this point, I had been working at Crossroads for a couple years. At the time, I was working in the maintenance department. But you know, any of our employees, you have somebody struggling, like we know who to reach out to.
Right.
Couple of months leading up to his death, he would call me periodically, and he's like, "Hey, Kim, you know, I need you to be ready." Now, historically, my baby daddy, storyteller, exaggerates, doesn't really tell the truth, crying wolf when nothing's really, you know. So I didn't really know what he was referring to, and I knew something was up. My parents thought he was back on dope, and I'm like, I know this man's tone of voice when he's on meth. That's not it. It's something else. Never in a million years did I realize it was alcohol. So May 14th, now this is 2020, so 17, 18, 19, about a little over 3 years, he called me. It was around noon. I was at work at Flower, and he said, "Kim, I'm going to tell you something." Because I kept asking him, like, "You want me to be ready for what? Ready for what?" He's like, "You got to get your own place. You got to, you know, do this. I just need you to be ready." And I'm like, "What are we talking about here?" Called his parents, called his sisters, called everybody. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, because he was kind of hinting at he wasn't going to be around on this earth very long, and that I needed to be available to support my kids through losing a parent. And half my brain's like, he's being ridiculous, and the other half is like, what if this is a real thing?
Right.
Do I need to prepare my kids for this? Nobody would tell me anything. Needless to say, his whole family knew, including his wife, right? So he called me and he said, "I'm going to tell you something, but I need you to promise me that you're not just going to knee-jerk reaction, come out here, rip our kids away from me. I want to spend my last days with my children." And I'm like, "What are we talking about here again?
Yeah.
What are we talking about?" And I can literally hear it in my head right now. He took his last drink. He threw the bottle into the trash can. I heard it ping off the countertop into the garbage can. And he said, "Kim, I'm an alcoholic. I'm dying of cirrhosis of the liver, and I can't stop. Please help save my life." Jesus. And he died 2.5 hours later. My kids found him dead.
How old are the kids at that point?
At that time, they were 11, 12, and 13.
Jesus.
They video chatted me. Because in my mind, I'm like, alcoholic. They're like, "Mom, Dad's passed out in the hallway. We can't wake him up." I'm like, does this happen a lot? I'm thinking blackout. Maybe he's passed out, whatever. But they were like, "Nope, this has never happened before." I'm like, okay, we need to call 911, you know, all the things. And they video chatted me, and I'm watching my 13-year-old son try to administer CPR on this man that's 250 pounds, right? And he had been gone for a couple of hours at that point, so there was no saving him. So the next phone call I got was, meanwhile, I'm on this other phone calling my dad. Next phone call I got was from his wife, who had left him a couple of weeks prior, took their 3 girls out of the home.
And didn't say anything to you about your kids.
Nope. Didn't even pick up the phone, didn't tell anybody, nothing. Like, literally left my kids to experience a level of trauma that I'm still paying for today.
Right.
You know?
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
I can only imagine.
And she told me, she said, "Kim, Josh is gone, and you need to come get your kids." And I purchased my plane tickets 3 hours ago. Bitch, I'll be there in the morning. Wow. And I was able to show up for my kids, thank God. At a year and a half sober when I wasn't ready to be a mom yet, right?
No, and I remember all that happening too.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I can only imagine, like, 1 second you're not in your kid's life and you don't have them, and the next minute you wake up and you're like, "Oh,
full-time mom.
Yeah, here I am."
Yep.
So they come back 11, 12, and 13, and you're like, holy fuck.
Yeah, my stepdad, which is my only dad I've ever had, makes fun of me all the time. He's like, "You realize you got sober just to finish raising a bunch of teenagers, right?"
For real.
Yeah, and
For real.
It's challenging and hard.
Yeah.
I think the most frequent thing that I struggle with is, which is why I go so hard in my career, is witnessing and showing up for my kids in these milestones in their life, and like, he's just missing everything.
Right.
didn't even make it to our oldest graduation from high school, and like a part of it's like, damn. And another part is like, I'm so grateful to be sober today.
Are you angry with him?
I am.
Yeah.
I am. He took the easy way out.
Yeah.
But I heard somebody tell me shortly after his passing that there's some addicts and alcoholics that just don't have the strength to fight.
Right.
Yeah,
absolutely. So what is, obviously going through all that with the kids, and how did they take it? Coming from being raised in their dad's house to all of a sudden I'm moving to Arizona and here's my mom that I haven't been in her life in how many years?
It was almost 4.
Okay.
Almost 4 years. Now, I will say there is some familiarity with Arizona. My kids were primarily raised in Arizona, primarily in my parents' home, which is where I had to move into when they came home because I was living in the staff apartment at Flower.
Yeah.
For about 2 years following treatment. So that was comforting for them. So they went back to the same schools they went to elementary school at. Now they're in middle school and, going into high school. Ran into some of the same friends that they had. So there's that. But I think that the hardest adjustment was finding that healthy balance between recovery, family, all the things for me. And then my kids coming back to this version of a parent that they've never had before, where there's some level of discipline or boundaries, or, they were so used to me and their dad giving them whatever they wanted so that they would just stay out of our hair so we could just keep doing what we were doing, and that was getting high, right? So I often still get challenged by my 17-year-old on a daily.
Absolutely.
But as far as them in regards to like their dad's passing, unless they've done it behind closed doors, they haven't really grieved. They talk about little things here and there.
You think that they need to go to therapy?
I tried. I actually enrolled them in group therapy when they came home, offered individual therapy, all the things, grief counseling.
Yeah.
All of them said no at first. Then my oldest asked to be put into some IOP group sessions. And like, how when you go through like a certain program, a certain curriculum, and then it starts to repeat itself after a couple of weeks, he's like, okay, Mom, I got everything I needed. You can take me out. Do you want to talk about anything? Nope, I'm good. Okay. So that was the end of that. Yeah. Addie, my middle one, she's a little bit more, I'd say, likes to give the benefit of the doubt.
Okay.
So I don't feel like it affects her as much emotionally. My youngest is very traumatized.
Yeah.
Very angry.
Yeah.
He struggles with mental health pretty bad. He dropped out of high school recently. Not to say that that's a terrible thing, but his mental health affects his function, daily functions.
Socially and...
He dabbled with substance abuse a little bit when he came home. Xanax, Klonopins, alcohol, a suicide attempt at 12, which was scary.
Yeah.
Self-harm.
I could only imagine. And nowadays, it's like, it's so scary.
Yeah.
The world that we're living in today, and how things are so readily available to these kids.
Yeah.
I just
on steroids compared to when we were growing up.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I just went through this weekend, and my daughter snuck and started an Instagram, and like, listen, I mastered these manipulations. And
we wrote the rule book to the games you're trying to play, guys.
You're not going to pull shit over me.
Yeah.
And it sent me a message of somebody you may know. And she sat there and lied to my face and lied to her dad and lied to everybody. I swear to God. And like, my biggest fear is like somebody either getting in contact with her on Instagram or Snapchat, and she's a follower.
Yeah.
She just wants to be like her little girlfriend. So
or like these sex trafficking rings out here.
I'm telling you.
I just caught my son a couple of months ago. My youngest, he struggles with that social factor. He doesn't have a lot of friends. He didn't do well in the in-school environment, so he was online full-time at home. So like, all of his friends that he talks to are online. talking about, oh, Mom, somebody's coming to pick me up. Excuse me, what? Where?
Where?
My house? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Who's coming to pick you up? Oh, this person I met online. Oh, no, I don't. No. Because we've seen some stuff in the streets that like you only see in movies and stuff absolutely happen. And no, this is not happening.
Yeah.
No, nobody's pulling up to my house.
Right.
You know?
No. And she's like, I would never do that. I was like, just like you would never lie to me about starting an Instagram. And, you know, so it is scary. I had a friend, you know, her daughter was 12 years old, got a fucking pill on Snapchat and overdosed and died.
Yeah.
12.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell are we doing? You know? And in you going through that at a suicide, at an attempt at 12 years old, like, what makes them go through that so much that they have to, you know, that's what they feel is the easy way out.
Yeah,
you know?
and then not being able to like get them to open up to maybe not me, but somebody. My kids are very like closed off. They have this wall up. They have this wall up, and I can't say that I blame them. So at this point, you know, I let them, hey, these are the resources that are available to you, which is to the end of the earth.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't care if I had to get 7 jobs to pay for whatever. I got you. But it's like I just can't get him to participate, you know, which is fine. He'll come around, hopefully.
Hopefully
you know?
sooner than later.
Yeah.
You know, and being able to give him that resource. So did you guys have a funeral and everything? And
we did. So I went out to Kentucky. We were there for, God, I want to say it was like 10 days. My parents and his sister paid for everything. You know, I had to pack up all my kids' belongings, of which packed in boxes and went right in the dumpster. My kids were not being cared for the way that they should have been. I mean, wearing shoes and clothes 2-3 sizes too small. My younger two were sharing 2 pairs of underwear at the time that were 4 or 5 sizes too small for them. Which I remember packing their things and just the condition of the house. I mean, not to say that everybody's a lunatic OCD cleaner like me, but like they didn't even have a functioning washer. You know what I mean? They're just filthy, filthy. I cried because when I was out here in the streets, and it might sound ridiculous, but you know, you hear stories about people's kids going into foster care and, you know, being separated and whatever. So I guess I found some comfort in my addiction. Like at least they're with their dad. Yeah. Right. For sure. And then to find just
that it wasn't a good living environment for them. And this whole time you thought it was.
Yeah. So there was that. My kids flew back home with my mom, and then me and my dad had to drive from Kentucky back to Arizona because they did have quite a few things that we did bring that obviously couldn't fit on a plane. Yeah. So we drove back with their stuff, and we've been trying every day to make it work. You know, since then, I have 3 very different kids that.
They're all opposite.
They are. My oldest, Bruce, is very black and white, very matter of fact. Yeah. Addie's that more gray area, you know, wants to give everybody the benefit of the doubt, especially her parents. And then my youngest, who's just angry. Struggling, you know. And I feel like he just doesn't know how to, like, sometimes articulate his emotions or thinks for some reason that he's wrong for having them, you know. Yeah, but they're thriving in life. They're good kids. My oldest is over at ASU. On a full ride.
That's amazing.
Starting his journey with his bachelor's in science.
Wow.
Addie's coming up next. She
graduates this year?
Yep. Yeah. She's going to be a little bit late graduation. She was supposed to graduate in May, but she'll be graduating hopefully by August. Okay. Which is fine. She struggled with mental health.
And what does she want to do?
She wants to be a astrophysicist. Yep.
Like, what does that consist of?
So it's like the science of the space. So she wants
NASA
to go to NAU.
Type shit.
Yeah. Okay. She wants to go to NAU. She wants her PhD. Bruce wants his PhD.
Okay.
In chemistry.
Wow.
Not sure exactly what. Not a chemical engineer though.
Right.
And then Dylan's he's a science nerd too. He loves science too. He's really great with computers and technology, but I think he just doesn't know what he wants to do.
Is he going to get his GED?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Where I bought him the book and we'll get there.
Yeah. No, I get it.
Get there.
Mine quit senior year too, because his social anxiety and he's autistic and literally like he just doesn't get along with kids. They, kids are so mean.
Yeah, they are
so mean.
They're mean, and I feel like my oldest is on the spectrum a little bit, and all the things super high functioning, but it's like he doesn't have patience for like normal kids, our peers, I guess you would say. So it's just the level of maturity. It's crazy.
Do they play video games? Yeah,
all of
because
them.
mine is very big into video games.
Yep, video games and skateboarding, and
that's why when you were saying the online thing and their online friends, I'm like, that's my son too. Like he makes these friends, and he's got this friend in Houston, Texas, and I'm like, oh my God, Mom, I'm gonna go visit them, and I'm like, no, you're not. They need to come out here and stay in a hotel or
in my living room so I can see who they are, what they're about. Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah.
So how did you deal with, I can only imagine you get these kids and obviously they're broken and they're angry and they're hurt and
it's my fault.
Everything's your fault.
And their dad's. And you asshole, you left me here to clean up for the both of us. Right? And I still carry those same emotions to this day to some capacity.
Yeah.
I think the hardest thing, how they always say that God never gives you more than you can handle. I think his perception of what I can handle sometimes is a little off. I get overwhelmed, sometimes feel defeated. Sometimes I literally sit on the end of my bed in this home that I pay for where my kids don't have to worry about, are we going to have somewhere to live next month? Are we going to have electricity?
Right.
Like, are we going to starve? None of those things are a factor in my life today, which for that, I'm super grateful. I do work 24/7.
You do.
I get up every day and everything I do in a day's time is for them. Also myself, but you know what I mean? They give me purpose. My job.
Do they appreciate it?
They do. They absolutely do. I have never in their entire life up until, and now mind you, I lived with my parents for a couple years when they came back home. I just recently, about almost 4 years ago, stepped out on my own independently. We started off in a 2-bedroom apartment and I graduated to a nice 4-bedroom house. I've never in my life renewed a lease before, right? And I've done it 3 times already.
Oh my God.
And I don't have to worry about, the lights, the food, whatever. So I'm super grateful that I get to provide our safe space for them to be in. They have their own rooms. They have their own living room, like all the things. But I sometimes cry because what it takes for me to be able to do that. And stay sober. And, sometimes I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it. I sit around and ask myself, what am I doing all this for? It's too much. It's too hard. I'm not ready for this.
Still hot fucking messes sometimes,
And I do struggle with mental health myself as well. I am bipolar. I do not take prescription medications anymore today. For the first 3.5 years of my sobriety, it was a key player in my, staying sober. Today I do more of a holistic approach. I take a bunch of natural supplements. I pray, I meditate, and sometimes I just have high anxiety and low depressions. And as long as I get up out of bed and show up for my responsibilities, which some days are harder than others, I'm fine, because today I don't have to worry about having to get high to feel normal.
Have you did any therapy or grief therapy or anything
I
dealing
have
with his death?
not done any grief therapy. I would like to, but again, my life doesn't allow me a lot of time anymore for self-care.
When I say she's busy, this woman goes hard in the paint. Like, I'm so grateful that I was able to say, hey, by the way, you're coming to speak on the show tonight. And you were like, okay.
Yep, that's what we're doing.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So, I'm like, it's just an hour. We'll be fine,
Yep.
Ugh.
So I did do individual therapy for a while. I did do trauma therapy following treatment.
Gotcha.
And really, I think at the end of the day for me, my story, it's all about, your spirituality at the end of the day. I have clients that come in to treatment that I put in again and again and again and again, and we keep trying and we keep trying. And they're like, Kim, what did it for you the last time you got sober? And I don't care what anybody says, not that I'm shoving God down anybody's throat. If I didn't have God in my life, how I have him in my life today, I wouldn't be where I am today. I don't regret anything that I've gone through in my life. We can't go back and change it. I'm not going to sit here and say shoulda, coulda, woulda, all the things and live in the guilt and the shame of my past. Does it hurt? Yes. But I can stand up today and be grateful for it.
Right.
Because in our lives, I believe, I'm a firm believer that God allows things to happen
so that you
can be broken down with the intention of building you back up. He broke me down to build me back up and mold me into the woman I was always intended to be.
Amen, sister.
A
freaking amen. No, and I love that. We always, sharing, like turning that pain into purpose.
Yeah.
And our mess into a message. As cliche as it sounds, like it's the truth.
Yeah.
And so I want to also talk about the weight loss stuff. Because,
oh, yes.
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 So you gained some weight when you got sober.
I did. When I checked into treatment September 21st, 2018, I was 5 days sober, and I was probably maybe $125.
Okay.
Walking into treatment. And
suck the fuck up.
By the time, shout out to looking toe back. When I got out of jail after doing my 6 months in December of 2019, I was 348.6 pounds. Jesus. A cow. I was huge, but
I can't even remember you being that big.
I didn't remember feeling that big until I saw a picture that my dad took of me the day I got released from Australia.
Wow.
So yeah, I was huge and I was unhealthy. I was having problems.
Like pre-diabetic?
I was smoking cigarettes at the time. I couldn't breathe. I was just having all kinds of issues.
Yeah.
My thyroid was out of whack. I actually was on medication for my thyroid, which probably a combination of the drug use and the weight and whatever. But also, I'm a foodie.
Yeah.
Like, one of my healthy coping skills, laugh if you want to, people, but I like to be up in the kitchen.
Yep.
I like to bake. I like to cook, broil, braise, barbecue, smoke, all the things. Food, not drugs.
Right.
I like to be in the kitchen. It's my happy place.
Yeah.
When I'm actively putting together some delicious something to it's my love language.
Yeah.
Which my kids thoroughly enjoy. They missed mommy's cooking while they were gone.
Right.
So if my kids wake me up at 11:45 at night, they're like, Mom, I want biscuits and gravy. I'm going to get up and cook it for them because that's what I do.
I love it.
Even though I have to be up at 3:30 in the morning.
Right.
Right.
So you start taking some medication.
Yep, I sure did.
How long have you been on medication now for?
Over a year. I've been over a year. So when I originally started, the skinny juice, I like to call it, was not really a rampant thing. I'm
sure it's a year. I think it may be 2.
It might be 2. You might be right.
2.
You're right. It might be 2.
I think it's 2.
What year are we in? 2020? Yeah, 2.
Yeah, 2.
You're right. Sorry.
24.
So I started with these crash diets, right? Restrict all the carbs and no sugar and high
keto,
protein. Yep, all the things.
All the things.
And then I lost 70 pounds, and then I'd be like, oh, I'm sick of this. I want good food. And I would gain 40 back and lose 70 and gain 20. So it was, also with the health issues, the stress on your heart and all of your other stuff with, the yo-yo diets, and I got tired of it. I got tired of the up and down with the scale, and so I went on the tirzepatide, and it changed my life. I'm now sitting at a whopping 150 pounds, never felt better.
So you lost 200 pounds.
200 pounds.
Wow.
197.6 to be exact, if you want to get technical. But 200 pounds, and I feel healthy. I feel beautiful. I feel confident.
Right.
I would have never wore stuff like this back in the day, but here I am. I still don't own a bathing suit yet, but we're going to cross that bridge this summer.
Progress, not perfection.
Yeah, but my blood work came back good. I can breathe again. All the things. I swapped out even Diet Coke Zero. I was addicted to Coke Zero. I used to drink like 5 to 6, like 44-ounce thirst busters from Circle K a day.
Wow.
I drink water now, which is weird. Never drank water in my whole life.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Game changer.
Yeah, I love that. So are you still on maintenance for trizepatide?
Yep.
Just a small dose and just to suppress your appetite and
Yep.
Any gym, anything?
So I did for a little while there. I want to say for about a solid year, I did discover hot yoga.
Okay.
Which changed my life. I can't stand heat. I hate being hot. I don't like sweating.
I'm the same way.
It's a different kind of heat in there, though.
Yeah.
And when you're kind of wrapped up in the spiritual aspect of it, it was an hour out. You know how my life is on the phones.
Yeah.
Phones. It was an hour out of the day where those things were put up, where I could meditate, pray, give things away to God that I didn't have the time to do in the rest of the day. And it was a spiritual release for me. It was a life-changing thing for me.
Yeah.
I used to practice 7 days a week, and then it went down to like 5. And then I got this big, giant, expensive house now, and girl, I don't got time for this shit no more.
Oh, man.
I miss it, though. Like, I could genuinely sit here and shed tears because I miss going to yoga.
You need to make some time for it, friend.
Yeah, it sounds nice.
It does.
It does.
You got to take care of you. You know?
Yeah.
You.
Yeah.
So what does life look like today for you?
Life today is very demanding. I have, through my journey at the Crossroads, made a career out of helping people.
And when I say she helps people, like she freaking helps people.
There isn't anything that I wouldn't do to get somebody into treatment.
Absolutely.
Never, ever, ever is there anybody that walks through the door at Crossroads who qualifies or doesn't qualify that doesn't leave with a plan. Either A, to get back to us after accomplishing A, B, and C, X, Y, or Z, or getting placed in another treatment program if that's their story. I remember what it was like sitting in that courtroom saying, my kids really got taken from me legally this time, and not having a single person in my corner to offer me a single resource, right? And then at that point, what do you got to live for? Why would I get sober now? And just being overwhelmed by those emotions, the trauma that we cause, or the problems and, chaos that we create in our life, and that wreckage that we eventually have to clean up. And being so overwhelmed with the thought of like, well, where do I even start? Oh, right back at the trap house, continue to get high because that's too much for me over there. Right. So,
even though it's going to be there when we get up.
Right. So just helping people navigate those things that I've lived before, showing them there is a better way, and a big role in what I do is in reentry. I actually, with the support of Crossroads and Maricopa County Adult Probation and all the Superior Court, public defenders, private paid attorneys, mitigation specialists, all the things, I was able to design a process for Crossroads to go in and assess individuals in custody and at the county level. And pull them out and argue directly with the courts, early release to treatment instead of prison sentences.
Let's talk a little bit about that. So people that don't know what we do at Crossroads, that's the Reach Out program.
Reach In program is mine.
Okay.
Reach Out is probation.
Got you.
We'll still get
so
those.
The Reach In program, just talk a little bit about that real quick.
So the Reach In program is very similar to the Reach Out program. So there's already a program in place where there's clinicians that work for probation that sit in the jail, do assessments, and send those referrals out to probation-approved facilities. While I was an admissions coordinator at Crossroads, I kind of noticed over the year and some months that I was a coordinator, just the number of referrals declining, which we know there's not a number of people getting arrested for drug charges, probation violations, all the things going down in MCSO. So I had to figure out a way to fight for these people that qualify for early release to treatment that probation and, you know, the jail just don't have time or the funding or the staff to sit down and do these assessments to give these people these opportunities to get into treatment instead of just sitting in MCSO for their 90-day, 120, 180-day violation. And then releasing them to the streets with no plan, nowhere to go, you know, nothing to do. So we go in and we snatch them out one by one and we bring them to Crossroads.
And you personally go and pick them up?
I do. I do all of the transportation. Yeah. I sure do. Also, no, I don't. Yes, I do. No,
Off the record.
I do. I have to physically show up there. I have to show my work badge and my driver's license to get them out. Like, it's crazy that
like you're signing them out.
These release orders, their third-party release orders, literally says release to the custody of Kimberly Harden, which I remember the first time that my old POs, one of her probationers, got released to me, and she called me. She said, "Girl, what are you doing over there at the Crossroads? I can't even believe my eyes right now." Yeah, Henny, I'll never forget her. She was my PO for a long time.
Oh my
Couldn't tell you what she looked like. Never met the lady in person, but
that's hilarious.
Yeah, it's kind of a real mind fuck. Yeah, it really is. Full circle at the end of the day. You know?
We work hand in hand with them. I mean, you know, opening my emails these days and seeing, oh, we got a client or we got an inmate that wants services. And between you and Selena, just making it happen.
There's just not enough over there. There's just not enough re-entry, you know, and I'm a firm believer that everybody deserves a redo.
Yeah.
You know, even if you've been on probation for 10 years, 47 violations, couple trips to DOC, you know, everybody deserves a second chance. They just don't know how to navigate it. Right.
And what are you going to do to change it this time? What are you going to do? Are you going to put in the effort? And you're going to, like I said in the beginning, like if you're not succeeding, it's your fault you're not succeeding because there is so many resources available.
Especially in Phoenix, Arizona.
Right.
Especially.
Absolutely.
You know? Yeah.
So you work hand in hand with probation. You have an amazing relationship with them.
Yep.
And
I'd probably have more probation officers call my phone in a week's time than family members.
I was going to say,
Yeah,
they got you on speed dial for sure. I need to get a hold of Sherry Johnston because I know Redeem's graduation is coming up in March and she wanted you to come speak. So
let's do it.
I'm telling you. Go back in there and I need to get you badged to go into the jail. Not just prison, but jail so that we can take meetings in there too because it's a whole other level. Like I said, when going back in there and it's like sitting there and talking to those girls when they're at their most vulnerable point in their life is just...
And being surrounded, those girls in there, being surrounded with individuals that, like, I remember walking into that dorm for my 6 months, and the first thing I was asked
What dorm were you in?
I was in G dorm.
Okay.
And then I got moved to O dorm.
Okay.
But I remember the first thing that 20 girls asked me, "What did you bring in with you?" Bitch, get away from me. I'm sober. I didn't bring nothing in here.
Right.
I'm going to sleep.
Right. Leave me alone.
Do my time. So it's really hard to maintain that, like, mentality. Like, I just want to do my time and go home because they're just sitting around glorifying using and what their next come up when they get out. And like, I can understand somebody who's not even 24 hours not using, really getting motivated to change their life in that environment. I imagine it's difficult because, you know, by the time I got done doing my 6 months, I think I was sponsoring half the dorm.
I'm telling you, and that's what I tell these girls. Like, you know, I'll go in on Sunday nights and there's a girl like, oh, I'm 2 years sober. Like, I got caught up on some shit that was in my past. And I was like, all right, you're cleaning the wreckage from your past. That's good. I was like, but here's a guide on how to do a meeting. Do meetings with these girls.
It only takes two.
You know what I mean? Like, start it out and then here's a packet and I'll get you all the stuff to do step work. And that's what I've been doing lately is I'll read the big book with them and then we're working on step 2 right now, you know, and there's 20, I have to limit it to 25 girls per thing, but if there's 27, I just don't have them sign in. Because I don't want to turn anybody away.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So starting them right then and there so that they can, get through these tough times, and God knows how long they're going to be there, and at least then they know when they get out, just say, hey, Christin Day, and somebody out here knows me in the recovery
every corner you
community.
stand on, I'm sure of
For
it.
sure. For sure.
Yeah.
And I need to get a hold of her, and there you go. Boom.
Yeah.
There's my number, and let's get you into treatment or whatever that looks like. And and you're just a plethora of resources. Like, I love it because we ping off of each other. If I can't do it, you can definitely do it, and vice versa. So
If there's something that we need and we don't have, one of us will find it in a couple hours.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So if anybody was struggling, what would be something that you would say to somebody?
Just ask for help.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what that help is that you might need, honestly, pick up the phone and call. Right. Call me. We can talk about it for a minute. Come in the doors at Crossroads even if Crossroads is not where you want to stay, come have a conversation.
Yeah.
What are, meeting people where they're at. What are your needs? Just ask for help, because there are a lot of individuals, and I share my story, my kid's dad, and how many people have we lost in our recovery to that one more use? So many. I share my story, and I share my trauma, and I share my pain and my kids' pain, because these individuals out here, addicts, alcoholics like us, some of them don't get a do-over. They don't have an opportunity to start fresh on a clean slate, or maybe are too embarrassed to ask for help. Yeah. That's what my kid's dad was struggling with. What are people going to think? You know what I mean? And I had a front row seat, right, to how that affects the individuals that love and care about you, right? Sure. Me and my kid's dad had been divorced for over 10 years when he passed. And just to give you a little backstory, like, he was my high school sweetheart. He's the only man that I had 3 kids with. We were married and divorced by the time I was 21, very quickly. But with that all being said, my pain comes from having to finish raising our kids and filling that void plus mine from my past, right? And because he was too embarrassed or shameful or whatever to ask for help, he doesn't get a do-over.
Right.
There's never going to be a case in my kids' lives where they can wake up and say, like, God, wish I could call my dad. Like, that's an option for them. Like, utilize the resources out here. I mean, there's so much treatment in in the Valley is what I mean. But also Crossroads, you know what I mean? Like, we're not the only place.
Right.
There's just ask for help. Let us help you. Leave it up to the professionals, please.
For sure. People that have been through it and know what you're going through.
Yeah.
If somebody needs to get a hold of you, how do they find you?
You can just write down my phone number.
You can plug it in if you want to.
I have 2 of them.
Hey.
I do use my personal cell phone for all things.
It's on the bathroom stalls.
Yep, I'm sure it is. It's probably all over in the jails. I know it's definitely down in ITR. You can call any Crossroads property, talk to anybody, and probably somebody knows me somewhere all the time. You know what I mean? I will never change my phone number. I've had the same number since the day that I was allowed to have my phone back in treatment. It's important to me to keep my same number for these reasons. 480-645-7576. Call me.
Yes.
Just call me. I answer my phone ridiculous hours in the night. I have terrible sleeping patterns. It's fine.
We'll get there.
It's fine. We'll get there.
It'll get better.
Yeah. So just call.
Well, I love you so much, and I'm so glad that you came on, and I got to volunteer you. And
I love being voluntold.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And I'm just super proud of you. You're an amazing mom, and fucking Crossroads is very lucky to have you. I don't know what this place would look like without you, for sure. So if you are struggling and you need help, you can always reach out to thecrossroadsinc.org. We are open 7 days a week, 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday, at 2002 East Osborne Road. And we take all commercial insurance, all Medicaid access plans, and no insurance as well. So again, Kim, thank you so much for coming on. I love you dearly. And with that, I will pass. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Recovery on Air, the official podcast of Crossroads Addiction Rehabilitation, with your host, Christin Day. Join us next time as we continue our candid discussions about addiction and recovery. Listen 24/7 anytime to this or any of our shows online at starworldwidenetworks.com or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.